Uh, okay, guys, so we'll start. Hi, all. Uh, Good evening. So, today we'll start Azure Virtual Machine Deployment. Okay, so last week, hope you all practiced about resource group, free subscription buy, and everything. So, today we are going to see about virtual machine deployment. That we are completely covering on virtual machine deployment ways. Last time we discussed there are some ways to deployment virtual machine. So let me open and once again repeat the points. That is that. Okay. So the ways of deployment of virtual machine. The first one, Azure portal. With the GUI, we used to deploy the virtual machine, and the second one, Azure CLI, Azure Images, Azure Snapshot. So today we will discuss about these four methods to deploy the virtual machines. Okay. So fine. Before moving into the deployment, just wanted to quickly tell about networks. We will have a detailed session about networks in next week. Just before deploy the virtual machine, we just needs to understand about virtual machine. Sorry, about network. Okay, I'll just show the structure how it would be. Subscription, subscription. Under here, resource group. Okay, so this is the structure that all the resources whatever we create in Azure, the structure should be like this. Subscription, under that the resource group, as I said, resource group must be created. If you create any of the resources, it required a resource group. Without that you cannot deploy any of the resources. Okay, so inside the resource group we actually going to deploy the virtual machine. That is the concept that we are discussing. Okay, just assume that this is the virtual machine. Okay, so when you place the virtual machine, to access this virtual machine virtually, it would be required IP address. Okay, so that IP address who will be assigning? The address, IP address will be assigning from virtual network. That is called VNet. We'll have a detailed session, so no worries. Just try to understand VNet. VNet means virtual network. We are placing this virtual machines inside this VNet, so that when you try to access this virtual machine from outside with the IP, you can able to access this virtual machine. IP address. Okay. So what are the components that are available inside the virtual machines, or what are the components required to build the virtual machine? As I said last time, VM name and then OS type. What are the OS? Like Windows Server 2019, 22 or 2016. So types of operating systems on server, and then OS drive, and then data drive. Drive in the sense data disk, OS disk, like that you can assume that. Okay, after that, one network interface. Network interface means it's a NIC card. I'll let you know the point of next one. Okay, just try to understand what are the components. So this network interface is nothing, it's just one of the component of virtual network. Okay, so virtual network is network interface card. This is called as NIC card. Okay, after that what else is required? So these are the primary components. Okay, sorry, and then size of the virtual machine. Okay, so these are the mandatory parameter when you try to build any of the virtual machines. Okay, just make a note of the points. These are the mandatory components to build the virtual machine. Okay, this is the same thing that this is just like example. This is development, this is production. So the structure would be like this only. The entire structures would be like this only. Got it? Okay, so just I'll keep this image beside. Again, this is the virtual machine. When you are a user, you are trying to access from here. You are outside user. You are not you are not connected to respective network. You are a outside user. Just you create. Somebody created the virtual machine in Azure portal, and as you are the outside user, you are trying to access this virtual machine. Will you able to get the access? No, because you are outside users. You will not have any of the rights to get into this network, because this is isolated, completely isolated with networks. That is called VNet. Sorry, one moment. Okay, so this is VNet. The virtual machine isolated with the virtual network. So you cannot directly access to this virtual machine directly. Then how you can access the virtual machine? The Azure brought a concept that is called public IP. So with the public IP address, you can directly access this virtual machine. Okay, so the virtual machine, when you deploy the virtual machines, it will be added with two kind of public IP address. Two kind of IP addresses are assigned. One is public IP address to access this virtual machine outside of the network. So another one IP address that will be assigned, that is called private IP. So using this public or private IP, you can able to take RDP of this virtual machine. Okay, so to take the RDP port number is 3389. Okay, so when you try to take RDP, just like this, MSTC, go to your Windows, search RDP or remote desktop connection, you will get this RDP connection. Okay, this is the tool where we are using to access this virtual machine. Here you cannot directly take this RDP with this IP only. For example, just assume that this is the IP. Okay, when you click on connect, it will not connect. So this is the public IP. Okay, so with this public IP just for example, with this public IP you cannot directly access this virtual machine. You should have this RDP port number that is binded with this IP address. Okay, so how it will be binded? It will be binded like this, 3389. So when you take RDP, you have to give the IP address like this. Okay, it is not a mandatory that you have to give this one, but just try to understand how the public IP address with the port number combinations is working here. Okay, so in this combination you can access this virtual machine outside of network. Got it? Inside this virtual network, suppose if you are inside this particular VNet, okay, if you are just like here, you can directly take RDP of this machine with private IP address. Okay, so this is how we can able to reach these virtual machines. These are the two ways to access the virtual machine. There are other ways, there are no other ways. One is either through public or private IP address. Got it? Suppose if you don't assign any of the IP address to this virtual machine, then you cannot access this virtual machine. It will be ideal only. If you don't assign any public or private IP, it will be just ideal machine. You cannot access through RDP. Okay, so got it? Any doubt in this point?
No doubts, sir.
Okay, so I just need a confirmation from all, because the actual practical session and the important concepts start from today only. These are the important points, important concepts. The whatever we discussed last session, it was just like a theoretical things, but from today onwards we'll be seeing everything into practical only. So can I move for next? All good, right?
Yes.
Okay, fine. The first point, as we discussed, Azure portal. We are deploying the virtual machine using Azure portal. Okay, so go to Azure portal. You already knowing these navigations and all. I already explained about navigations and other stuff, and how to purchase the subscription as well. So now I got one subscription. I purchased one subscription here. So there are two ways to get this virtual machine resources. So virtual machine also, it's one of the resource that we need to create it. So the very beginning method I said global search. You can directly search virtual machine. You can see option here virtual machine. This is the one way. Another way, here you see three lines are there. Just click on here, you will get all the categories. So here also you can see virtual machine options. So this is the second way you can reach out to the virtual machine option. Another way is, you see here, create a resource. Just click on that. You see the window like this. When you click create a resource, you will get options virtual machines, web app, SQLDB, whatever else. Okay, this way also you can reach out to virtual machine option. Or again, you see here categories, compute services. Just click here. Here also you can get virtual machine option. Compute services, you see directly Windows Server 2022 Data Center Edition, Windows 10 machine, Windows 11 machine, Ubuntu, Linux, like this. Whatever flavor you want, you can just choose it here. So you guys remember that I said when we want to purchase operating system, we have to go with Azure Marketplace. So Azure Marketplace, there only all the images, all the applications they kept for purchasing purpose. So now you see this is the Azure Marketplace. You see here search services and marketplaces. So here you can search all the marketplace images. You see popular marketplace products, Windows, Ubuntu. So they have given like this. If you need to search or if you need to get more images, see here, see more in marketplace. It's just like a store, Microsoft Images store, where you can get it any kind of images. Suppose if you need Fedora, you see Fedora is kind of Linux operating system. So just I search, you see Fedora operating systems came. If you need a database, you can search database. So everything, okay, Oracle database, everything you will get it from the Azure Marketplace. This is the Azure Marketplace. So just keep in mind, when interview they will ask where you will deploy the virtual machine. You have to say the first method is Azure portal. From the Azure portal we used to go to Marketplace. From here we purchase the operating system and then deploy the virtual machine. Okay, so from Marketplace you can directly deploy Windows Server direct from this Marketplace directly. Just click here. So it will ask you to start from this machine. See, it directly routed to create a virtual machine directly from Marketplace. Okay, this is one of the way to create a virtual machine. Got it. So now I will go with global search only. So I'll just directly search in global. So I got a virtual machine. So you see, this is the my dashboard of virtual machines. If you have n number of virtual machines, you can get it everything in here only. 1000 virtual machine, 2000, 10,000 or whatever else, just search global virtual machines and you will get all the virtual machines listed like this. As of now there is no virtual machine, so that's why it's completely blank. So we are going to create a virtual machines. So you see no virtual machines to display. Here just click on create. You see the first option, create Azure virtual machine. You can go here, here, or else you can see plus create symbol. They gave multiple ways to deploy. So that's why you have to keep remember this navigations always. Why? Because in interview, so the interviewer should not catch you that you are newly to Azure. So that's why I'm repeating. You have to say these all the ways. Then only they will get to know that okay, you have experience in Azure, you got hands-on in Azure. Okay, so go here, click on Azure Virtual Machine. So I got a window like this. The first option is basics. Okay, basics, disk, networking, management, monitoring, advanced tag. So roughly 8 options are there. You have to keep remember these 8 options. Okay, first one is basics. So basics in the sense, what are the basic informations that are required for virtual machine. So as I said, first one is subscription. In this diagram you see, for everything the top is subscription and then resource group. The same way here, first one is subscription, that I chose resource group. So there are some resource group that I have already created for demo purpose last session. So suppose if you need a new resource group, that you can directly create it here also. Just create new, give the name directly here, VM deploy -rg. Whenever you give any naming, it should be meaningful. Okay, to understand we have to give a meaningful name. You see the new resource group, and then virtual machine name. We have to give virtual machine. The virtual machine naming 15 characters are allowed totally. Okay, it will not beyond that. So maximum characters are 15 characters are allowed. So I'll just give when server 2022. If you give more, it will not take. It will give a error at the end of the create session. When you see here review plus create, it will throw the error. So you have to give a meaningful name. Here itself, this is just a definition. Okay, so virtual machine name you can give any name, but when you are getting to project, the project have some naming convention. Okay, based on that we have to give virtual machine name, and then region. So which region we are going to deploy our virtual machine. I said there are 46 regions are there. Based on our project requirement, we will be choosing the respective regions. So as of now I am just choosing East US. Okay, and then availability option. This is our next session. Maybe tomorrow I will cover this one. So as of now, just leave about this. Don't think about availability options. Okay, as of now, first option, no infrastructure redundancy required. Select this one. Don't worry, I will explain these all the next sessions. Okay, don't confuse that. Availability as of now, I just give no. Security type. So there are some security type for the virtual machines, like standard or trusted or confidential virtual machine. Based on our business requirement, project requirement, we will be choosing the security type. Usually it would be a standard method. Okay, and then image, you see here image is nothing, this is the OS for this virtual machine. Okay, so when you click here, there are some images will be listed here from the marketplace. These are the marketplace images. Okay, you see in Windows you see 16, 19, 22 something Ubuntu. So if you don't find any virtual machine, just click on see all images. It will go to, it will route it to marketplace. There you can search and get it the exact image that what you need it. Okay, so from here what I am going to do, I am just going to choose Windows Server 2022, that is the latest one. Okay, so when you give this, when you select the images, sometimes you will see some error stating that the image is not comfortable or not suitable for this particular region. Okay, that concept I will tell why it is and all. So which are suitable, you have to choose the respective images. Okay, and you see this image is 64-bit operating system and then generation 2. Okay, and then VM architecture. So architecture in the sense whether it is 32-bit supporting architecture or 64-bit supporting architecture or any other ARM. So this architecture would be supporting x64 64-bit operating system. Okay, and then the next are run with Azure Spot discount. Okay, so it's nothing very there are some types are there, not some types, just 2-3 types are there from the Azure virtual machines VM types. So spot instance, reserved instance, or dedicated. So instance in the sense it is nothing, it's a virtual machine. So the technical name called as spot instance or spot virtual machines. Okay, so spot VM. So what it is? So in the Azure side, they are offering the virtual machines when we are deploying new virtual machines. So spot instance in the sense, suppose you are creating this virtual machine for just for 1 day or 1 week duration. Okay, reserved in the sense it is for long term. So we didn't know how long the project goes. Okay, so if you are deploying the machine for short time period, then you can choose spot instance, so which will be charged for less cost just for 1 week, right? So they will assign some temporary virtual machines to us, but reserved or dedicated for long term, and the cost would be little high. Okay, so these are the types, just remember. So you see run with Azure Spot discount. If I choose this one, it the virtual machines allocated from spot instance, and it will will get some discount. That's what the options give here. Okay, and then size of the virtual machine. Here you see what are the components from the virtual machine that are primarily required. VM name we gave, and then size. So what is size? So sharing videos or animations. You able to get my voice right, or is it breaking?
No issue,
It's
Ram.
perfect.
Okay, fine, thank you. Okay, so size. So what is size of the virtual machine? So as we discussed in the demo session, so this is the computer. Same like in our laptop, just to take an example of our laptop. So it would be having 8 GB of RAM, uh, 500 GB hard disk, and then Intel i5 processor or AMD processor, so on so on, right? The same way, virtual machine, we are selecting the size of the virtual machine, and based on the sizes the cost will be more, and if the size are less, cost will be less. Okay, you see here size, there are, there are so many sizes are available that I will let you know after this deployment, virtual machine deployment. Okay, so as of now, standard D2SV3. There is a naming convention for this naming, I'll tell you. Standard means standard virtual machines. D2. D2 means 2 CPUs. D means it's a like it's kind of virtual
Desktop.
machine. No, virtual machines. Uh, depends on the usages, the virtual machines are classified into some types. Okay, that I will show in the next after this deployment. Okay, so the very basic things, why it is not oh shit. Okay, so D2 2 means 2 CPU S underscore V3. Okay, so when it is comes D2 yes V3 means a version, this virtual machine versions, standard versions. V3 2 CPU means the memory would be 8 GB. You have to remember D series means, you have to always remember when the virtual machine comes with the D series, 2 means 2 CPU 8 GB RAM. D4 means 4 CPU 16 GB RAM. It will be multiply with 2. Okay, so as of now, just remember, don't confuse that. I'm just choosing one size, that is 2 CPU and 8 GB of memory for this virtual machine. Okay, so we given virtual machine name, region, and then image we selected already, and we selected the size. Next thing, administrator account. So this account is required to take RDP. When we take RDP, it will ask user ID and password to login. So we have to give that user ID and password here only. So I'm just giving Azure user or AG user, Azure user password. You have to define the password. Fine. So I'm just giving welcome at the rate 12345. Next thing, as I told, we need to give port number. Then only we can take RDP. You see, I just selected here. You see public inbound port. Public means we are taking the RDP from outside. So for that I am giving port number is 3389 for RDP purpose. Okay, this is inbound rule. There is a separate concept about inbound outbound rules and all. I will explain in simple way next session. Okay, as of now understand. So port number we give. So basics, in the basics tab we completed, we just filled it all the required information. Next move on disk session. Here the first one, VM disk encryption. As of now ignore it, leave it. Okay, don't think much about this encryption. Okay, so coming to OS disk. So as I shown in the picture, VM components, VM OS drive data disk that we need to give. So that is here. So OS disk size by default, for example, you see in my computer, so the C drive capacity is 230 GB and D drive is 232 GB, something like that. So we have to choose the OS drive size here only. So by default it comes with 128 GB. Okay, so there are some other options came now. 512 GB, 1 TB, 2 TB and all. These are the latest update from Azure. Okay, till last month, they by default option is 128 GB, which would not be visible to everyone. But now they brought to us, we can visible. I mean, it can be visible to us, and we can choose which size that we required. So that is the one good feature from Azure. Okay, you see the image default size is 128 GB. So this is the logical memory. That's why it comes. The naming, the technical name is GIB, gigabytes. Okay, then OS disk type. So there are some disk types. Everyone knew about the disk. So everyone knew like HDD, hard disk drive, SSD, HDD. This is the old and standard method, standard disk types. After that, new disk came, that is SSD, solid state disk. After that, now ultra SSD. So there are some disk types. HDD means most of the old laptops having hard disk, that is HDD disk, which is having medium speed. Sorry, okay, so everyone join now. I'll just continue the session. Sorry for my interruption, guys. Okay, so HDD is the standard and old method, the old hard disk type. So here the size or the speed or medium. So when you see hard disk HDD laptops, when compared to SSD, the operating time, the response times are medium. It's not like very peak level. But when you go for SSD, so the response time, the running applications times are good. Performance are good. Okay, but when we compare to SSD, the new disk came, that is Ultra SSD, Ultra disk. This is very high performance. Okay, so these are the types of disk. Okay, so here now OS disk we choose automatically, and then OS disk type, which kind of disk we needed. So based on the project requirement, suppose I need a machine, but I will not use the machine frequently. It's just for some operating some commands. Means I can go with HDD method, standard HDD method. But I need to run applications and the response should be very high. Means I can go with premium SSD or standard SSD. So HDD is the first, and then standard SSD, and then premium, and then ultra SSD. Here you will not see the ultra SSD option. Okay, don't worry, I will explain the next session. So as of now, you try to understand standard HDD, standard SSD, premium SSD. So OS type by default it comes with premium SSD, so we'll use that way, that default one only. Okay. So next option is delete with VM. When you delete the virtual machine, the disk also will be deleted automatically. That is what this option is came here. Suppose I don't want to delete this disk. When you delete the machine, I need this disk retained. Means you just uncheck this option. The disks will not be deleted. OS disk. Okay, so just I'll select this option because when I delete this virtual machine, I don't want this OS disk. Fine. And then key management. So this is for encryption purpose. Okay, this key management for encryption purpose, leave as of now. Okay, let it be as a platform managed key. So what is platform managed key? There are two keys are there, platform managed key and then customer managed key. Okay, so when you create this virtual machine, by default, when you create this virtual machine, by this is VM. By default, Azure, what Azure will do, Azure will encrypt this virtual machine with PMK, that is platform managed key. Okay, default encryption. from Azure. Who is encrypting? Azure, not by us. Okay, that is the key. Okay, the another concept is there, that is CMK option, customer managed key. Who will be encrypting this machine? We will, as administrator, we will be encrypting the machine with CMK, that is customer managed key. The key, when you encrypt, there will be required some keys. Keys means some secret keys that we will be handling. That secret keys handling by IaaS admin. Okay, so you don't want to discuss much, just try to understand that by default the virtual machine will be encrypted with PMK, platform managed key. Okay, so after that, data disk for our server, meaning server 2022. This is our server. So data disk means it's an additional drive. Okay, so suppose you need 2-3 drives, you can directly create the disk here itself, or if you want to attach any existing disk, that also you can do. Okay, no worries, just ignore this one. I'll just create one new disk and attach it here. Okay, so that this is the name of the new disk, and the source type is empty disk. Size of the new disk, how much size I can give, like 5 GB, 10 GB, or 250 GB, whatever, depends on the requirement. You can give the size. Suppose you need 100 GB of size, means you can give. Customization options also available. There are the list of disk available. Suppose you need customized disk size, means you can give here. By default 4, 8, 16, 32, these ranges the disk will come. If you need a customized, you can give here. For example, in the list you see after 64, you see 128 GBs are available, but there is no 100 GB. Still you can customize here. You see custom disk size, you can give it as 100. Okay, and then performance tier. Probably we will discuss later about this performance tier. Okay, so performance tier is nothing, the speed up of the disk, the each and every disk having some throughputs. Okay, throughputs and then transaction speed. You see provision, throughputs, and then IOPS. Okay, so based on the throughputs and IOPS, you can choose the disk. Okay, as of now we'll just give 100 GB disk, and the size fine, let it be in the default one only. So 500 IOPS and then 100 Mbps speed. I will tell you what is IOPS and then what is throughputs, how it works. So just for understand, I have given 100 GB new disk added to this virtual machine. The what I am going to deploy that virtual machine. Okay, so virtual machine basics completed, disk completed. Next one is networking. Here is the actual network part comes. Okay, so virtual network. Actually, I did not created any virtual network till now. Okay, but when you comes network, it will take automatically new network. You see here, virtual network Windows Server 2022 VNet. So it's creating new virtual network automatically here. It's taking our name automatically, and then subnet, and then public IP. This and all it's taking automatically. But so make sure when you deploy the virtual machine, before deploying, you should have created virtual network. Suppose I need to create a new virtual network here. Just click on new virtual network. You can create your customized virtual network. Okay, so as I discussed in the diagram, when we create a virtual machine is must be placed inside the VNet. Okay, that is the concept that we are discussing. Virtual network, we need to place this VM inside the virtual network. So by default one VNet is getting created, and then we need to select subnet. So what is subnet? Very simple. It's a small division of virtual network. Okay. Why? Because the virtual network is a very big network and there are n number of IPs. Okay. So why this subnet concept brought here? So for example, 100 IPs are there. If I place the virtual machine on this 100 IP, those 100 IPs I can only use for specific project. For example, development project. Okay, but some IPs will be always free only without using. I don't want in that case. I want that VNet 100 IPs divided into small division, that is called subnet. Okay, in the networking part we will see more about this subnet. As of now, just remember one VNet and then small subnet is just small number of IP address. Okay, and then public IP. So I said, so when we try to access this virtual machine from outside of network, we need public IP. So I see here, you see here, one new public IP will be created here. Okay, and then network security group, inbound security port. This you can ignore it as of now. I see the port RDP port 3389 that we have selected in the basics tab. You just come back to basics tab. Here you see this inbound port is 3389 has been selected for RDP purpose. So that port only again allowed here. Okay, so this network security group is nothing. It is a rule that we can define what can be accessed to this virtual machine and what cannot be accessed. We can define some rules in the network security group. We can restrict the virtual machines. Okay, that is the concept for network security group. So as of now, ignore it. Okay, so port we given, network subnet, everything we have given here, and then same some delete options and all came. I mean, when we delete the virtual machine, the IP, the public IP, the NIC card, that also will be deleted. That is the option here came. So I just by default choose yes. And then enable accelerated networking, leave it as of now, leave it as it is. And then load balancing. Okay, this also you can leave it. Okay, why? Because this is the separate concept. Okay, no worries on this one. As of now, in the networking, you have to remember these points only. Okay, and then next part is go to management. So in the management, there is nothing much. Okay, the management what and all options would be there: auto shutdown, backup of the virtual machine, guest OS update. Some options are there. Suppose if you enable auto shutdown, after the particular period of time, the machine will be automatically in goes shutdown state. If you enable the backup will be added to this virtual machine. Okay, these are the separate topics. Okay, we'll cover it later. And guest OS update. Guest OS update in the sense Windows update for the virtual machine. So you might be knowing that Windows every month the company will send one mail that there is a maintenance in project or in the building for upgrades. That is the concept here, that guest OS upgrade. Okay, so if you don't want guest OS upgrade, you can choose it manual update, or if you want patches installed automatically, then choose automatic update. So if you give automatic, whenever the patch will install, the server will reboot automatically, which will impact our project which will impact our project business. Okay, So as of now, just give it as turn off. Got it? Because the patching is a separate window for all the projects. Every month they will have some slot. During the slot only they will do patches, not every time. So fine. So these are the concept here. And the next monitoring. Go to monitoring. So you can see alert, diagnostics options. So by default, the boot diagnostics enabled with managed storage account options will come. So as of now, ignore these options. Okay, we will cover slowly about these options, and then go to advanced. So in advanced, so nothing much. If you need any commands, commands to run in the virtual machine when the machine is deploying the time. During the deploying time, if you want to apply some commands or you need to install some script means you can define in custom data. But as of now, ignore these all the options. Okay, you can ignore it. The important points will be covered in the sessions, upcoming sessions. So next thing, go to tags. You can just fill the tag name. For example, this is the development dev, and the value is something VM1. Okay, so if you give this tag value, the same tag will be applied to all the resources for this particular virtual machines. Okay, so here you can choose only virtual machines, right? So the tag will be applicable for only virtual machine. Next thing, that click review and create. So click on review and create. What will happen actually in the review state? It will just fetch and initialize all your input. When you suppose if you give anything wrong, then in the review state it will throw the error. You see, we got one alert that you see you have set RDP port to open internet. So this is something red alert. But we are practicing session, so we enabled the port. But just assume that when you are into project, you most probably you will not use RDP open port, public port. Okay. So you see validation got paused successfully, and we can review whatever the input you gave here. You see the subscription, resource group, virtual machine name, region, image, size of the machine, username, disk, networking, each and everything in the review state. Okay. So once everything is done, I'll just create the machine. So it will take roughly 5 minutes. 2 minutes to 5 minutes. Maximum is 5 minutes. Within the 5 minutes, the virtual machine successfully it will be deployed. You see it's getting created. Deployment is in progress. You can see option is refresh. Just click refresh and you can see what are the resources are getting deployed. You can see here data disk, network security group, IP address, virtual network. These are the resources are deploying as of now, and you see virtual machine is in progress. So likewise, you can see the progress in deployment. You see the virtual machine deployment is completed. See, within a 2 minutes, one virtual machine is deployed successfully. Now click on go to resources. Okay. Once you click on the resources, you will get the virtual machine option. Whatever the virtual machine you deployed, this is your virtual machine dashboard, controlling dashboard. Okay, so just I will go back now again. So go to virtual machine. This is the navigation to get the virtual machine. So go to navigation, go to global search and go to virtual machine. See here one virtual machine that whatever we deployed, that is present here. Got it? Now click on the machine and you will get virtual machine dashboard option. Here you can see all the options. So these options and all I will explain it later. No worries. As of now, machine is deployed successfully, and you see connect option which is required to connect this virtual machine. Start, restart, stop. Start options for starting this virtual machine. Restart means restart the virtual machine. Stop virtual machine means shut down the virtual machine. Okay, same like in our laptop, we have an option for restart, stop, start and all, right? The same feature available here. Okay, and then in the essential information you see operating system, size of the virtual machine, public IP. So public IP assigning from Microsoft. This public IP is required to take RDP outside the network. Okay, these are the informations available. Now the machine is deployed successfully. I am going to take this machine RDP. So for that, just go to your system and type MSDC or type remote desktop connections. So you will get RDP session over here, and then paste your IP or type your IP public IP. Okay, click connect. So it will give a pop-up for giving user ID and password. So when you get this pop-up, then you can make sure the virtual machine is keep running without any issue. You can assume that. Okay, now here I need to give my user ID of virtual machine. You remember, right? In the beginning, in the basics tab, when you are creating virtual machine, I gave a admin account user ID. So Azure user password welcome @12345. Just click enter. Yes. See, we have successfully deployed one virtual machine, Windows Server 2022, and we are able to successfully log in. It's loading. Still loading now. Because recently we created, right? So some components will take time to load. Okay, so machine successfully deployed, and we able to open the machine and we can able to access the machine. Got it? So if you come down slowly and you can see the properties of the virtual machine, and here you can see public IP address which we are using for RDP purpose, and then private IP address. You see there is a private IP assigned from our virtual network. In the isolated network, the private IP is assigned. So this is actually for practicing purpose we gave public IP to take RDP, but if you are onto Azure project, public concept will not come. This public IP address will not come, because if public IP is there, anyone can take this machine RDP, which means it is security breaches. So to restrict that, they will not assign any public IP address. They will have only private IP address. Okay, they have to take RDP using this private address only. So now we are outside of this Azure network. So can we take RDP of this machine using this private IP? It's not at all possible, because this private IP is located inside the Azure. So when we want to access any of the resource using private IP address, we have to, we must be part of Azure network. Then only we can access. Otherwise, we will not. Okay, in the networking session, we will discuss something detailed about private network and how to access the virtual machine using private IP addresses. Okay, so just see with the private IP address, it cannot be reached because it's an isolated network from the Azure side. Got it? So that's it, guys, about virtual machine deployment. First way of deployment that we covered now. So any doubt till now? Let's take 2 minutes time to discuss and then we'll move for another way. So any guys, any doubt in the virtual machine deployment? Simple way.
No, Ram. It's very clear.
Okay.
No, Ram.
Okay. Thank you
No,
all.
Ram.
So what I said, when you try to deploy, whenever you deploy a virtual machine, so just go here, create a new virtual machine. These options keep remember. Okay. First one, basic tab, disk, networking, management, monitoring, advanced tags, and review and create. Okay. Why? Because in the interview, they will ask what are the steps that you follow while creating the virtual machine. Got it? So we covered virtual machine deployment as well as one interview questions also. Got it? So everyone clear about this virtual machine deployment? If we all good, we can go with the second way using CLI, programmatic way to deploy the virtual machine. Okay, so can we go second point or will take time sometimes 2-3 minutes? Okay, so I think we'll go to start now. So for second method using Azure CLI, or there are so many ways are there using Azure CLI, PowerShell, Terraform, Azure ARM template. These all programmatic way. Okay, but the Azure CLI is the default way. I mean, this is the first method, basic method to deploy virtual machines. Okay, so for this, I have just written some code. Okay, so where we can easily get it from Google as well. So just type Azure Windows Virtual Machine Deploy using Azure CLI. You will get the commands how to deploy it. So here you see create a virtual machines, and these are the steps to be followed to create a virtual machine. Okay, you will get it in Microsoft documents itself how to create the virtual machine. Okay, post this meeting you have to keep practicing this virtual machine deployment simultaneously. Okay, so I have just written some one script for VM deployment in the easy way. Okay, just I'll make it big size. Okay, AZ means command Azure VM create -- resource group. I need to give resource group name -- name of the virtual machine -- image means OS, and then -- public IP SKU for public IP address, and then admin username, admin password. So I did not give virtual network and all because it will take automatically. Just for practicing, we are giving as practicing purpose, right? So whatever VNet and subnet available by default, it will take it. But if you want to specify also, you can specify that -- VNet something. Okay. So as of now, we'll just see about this simple command. Make sure when you give this information, it should be available like -- resource group test RG It should be available in Azure, otherwise it will throw the error. Okay, so I'll just before that go to your CMD command line here. So I guess everyone installed Azure CLI, correct? So you have to download the Azure CLI from Google. Azure CLI download for Windows. You will get the setup file. See here, you will get the setup file here. Just click install 32 or 64. Post installation successfully. Go to CMD and just type AG space version, Azure space version. You see Azure CLI version which is installed. We should get this information, then only the Azure CLI installed properly, else you might have done some mistake in your laptop while installing the Azure CLI, so check it once. Okay, so Azure CLI installed. Now I am connecting Azure CLI to my Azure portal using Azure CLI commands AZ space login. Just hit enter, it will directly route to browser page for login purpose. So I'll just choose my account. You have logged into Microsoft Azure. So we got the output that I have logged into Azure successfully. Now go back to CMD. Yeah, you see Azure login successfully, and these are the subscription details. Here you can see subscription ID. This is my subscription ID. So in this subscription I have logged in successfully. Here there are some commands you can just execute. AG space account list. Account list means subscription list. You see there are so many subscriptions that I added to my account. Okay, so for testing purpose I have given so many subscriptions. Okay, you can see in output table format like this. You see hyphen output table format. These are the subscriptions that I had already. The status all are false, only one is true. This is the current account. Okay, so last time we seen how to create a resource group. You all might be remember AG group create hyphen name. Here we have to give resource group name something Azure CLI hyphen RG. Meeting will end in 5 minutes. So post this resource group creation, we'll join this same meeting. You guys please join the same meeting once again. Okay, so I gave a command incorrect because you see the example AG group create location and then resource group I need to mention. Okay, so in that format I have to give. So AG create group create hyphen resource hyphen group name something I can give Azure CLI RG space hyphen location East US like this. Okay, so when you give correct comment, it will take 1 or 2 minutes and then it will give a result. If you give wrong info, then it will throw the error immediately. You see the resource group has been successfully created on location East US. You got the informations like this. And post create, just go to Azure portal, go to home page. Here in the global search, just type resource group, go here and wait and see. You see Azure CLI resource group is created. Got it? So this is simple way to create a resource group using CLI. Now okay, so I think this meeting will be end up with 5 minutes. So post 5 minutes we'll again connect and then we'll start deploying this virtual machine using Azure CLI. Okay, so before get into this topic, let's discuss our doubts or clarifications now. So anyone can just come up and clarify your doubts if anything have till now whatever we discussed. You can ask any questions related Azure virtual machines. If you have any doubt, you can raise your voice. So don't be silent because these all topics are very important. Once you get into Azure project, you would be directly working on these topics only: deployment, group creations, VNet, virtual network creations, subnet creations. So in the demo, I mean, this is our live demo. Here only you can clarify your doubts.
Okay, Ram.
So no doubt, I guess all are clear.
No doubt.
Okay, perfect. So actually virtual network is a very big concept. Okay. So next week at any cost we will start the concept and we will elaborate all the topics. Okay, so today is a day 3 session, virtual machine deployment, sample VNet creation. I have explained already, virtual machine types and then Azure disk. This also I explained, virtual machine types, spot instance, dedicated instance, that I explained, Azure disk, standard, premium SSD that we discussed. So deploy VM from Azure portal. This also we have completed now. Next two topics are left for today: deploy from Azure CLI and PowerShell. Okay, and then deploy from image snapshot. So this will take quite time. So we'll try to finish it within half an hour. Okay, so we'll wind up this session now and then join in 2 minutes. Okay, everyone join in
Okay, Ram.
2 minutes, please.
Okay, Ram.
Okay.
Fine. So, okay, so
Ram, your voice
what happened?
is low. Voice is low, little low.
Okay, is it fine now? Is it clear now?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Yeah,
So,
fine now.
yeah, in Azure portal, go to that 3 lines categories. Here you can see Microsoft Entra ID. This is Azure Active Directory. Okay, so if you purchase free subscription, then you will get one default directory, default domain, and then you can just make it use for domain purpose. Okay, so in the default directory, in the overview, you can see what is the directory name. It's a default, and then tenant ID is your ID for this directory, and then primary domain. So this is the domain which is allocated from Microsoft, I mean as a Azure Active Directory domain. Okay, and then license, it's a free license from Microsoft. Here you can see manage. Under the manage you can see users, groups.
This portal is not showing for me. I'm unable to get access for this. Even I got a free trial.
Okay,
So it's coming. You do not have access for this.
you got a free trial with your company or your own email address?
My company email address.
Correct. Because as I said, if you go with your company, okay, you will have subscription access, but the AD access would be restricted because that is a company confidential one. If you have reader access, you can read company properties. That is why they have
Okay.
restricted. They have removed all the access for you. You will not able to access anything, but you can practice all the subscription related.
Okay, Ram. Sure.
Okay, I will go.
And how to get the sandbox successful? Sandbox.
Sandbox.
Show me. Can you show me?
Yeah. So there are so many sandboxes. Depends on your. Okay. So for the sandboxes, there are, for each and every task you will be having some sandboxes. Okay, some few of the sandboxes that I have already saved for training purpose. Create Windows VM. Okay, where is that? Exercise. Okay, we'll explain that in end of this session, Kumar. Okay, we'll tell you that. We'll share the links
Okay.
as well. Okay. So can we go with
Okay,
the
Ram.
deployment now? We'll start with the second deployment. Nikhil is
Yeah,
joined,
yeah.
or
Yeah, please.
okay, Nikhil is joined, or I say he did not join. Okay, fine. We'll share this record video to him better. Okay. So fine. Is that? Sorry. Okay. So I'm going to write a script for deploying the Azure Virtual Machine. So just I'll type manually here. Azure create VM. Sorry. Azure VM. Azure space VM create hyphen resource hyphen group. Here you have to give resource group name where actually the VM going to be placed. So I just create one resource group just now before I gave this resource group. Okay, so I gave the resource group and then I have to give a location hyphen location something is US. Okay, location I gave, and then virtual machine name. So hyphen name. Here you can give Azure CLI -VM. Okay, and then image means OS, which image that we are going to use. So I just copying this one. Okay, and then public IP address for RDP purpose. So just copy this one. Hyphen public IP standard is KU. So make sure you have to give a space, otherwise it will not, you will get error. Space hyphen administrator account hyphen admin hyphen name something Azure user space hyphen admin hyphen password, something you can give 5. Okay, so I'll just hit enter now. This much details are enough to create one simple virtual machine. So let's wait and see the status. Okay, there is somewhere I given a mistake. Under administrator name, unrecognized argument. Okay, hyphen okay, sorry, username. So I just given some typing mistake. Hyphen administrator here username admin password. Now I hit on enter. It's taking a time, which means the machine is getting created. Okay, you see the status is running here. Okay, so meantime just go to Azure portal, go to home, go to our created resource group. What is our created resource group? Azure CLI RG. Go here, go to deployments, just click on deployments. Here you see the VM is getting deployed. See, VM1 is deployed. This deployment is ongoing on. This is what we are deploying through CLI. Here status is running, but in the portal you see the status are getting created. This way only you have to always check if you deploy any resources. Use resources through CLI or PowerShell, then respective resource group you can navigate there and you can check the status of the deployment.
But we should remember this command, right? And the Windows machine, what exactly we are looking for, the machine details as well.
Exactly.
How we can get it? So if you want any other different machines, how we can get it the machine? So like this, you are given right image Windows 2020 like this.
Okay.
How
So
we can get this images and all?
this, okay, I will come to the point. Okay, after this deployment I will show that one. Okay, how to get this images, supporting images and all. So as of now, just remember this way only the Azure CLI will work. Okay, so status still getting updated, but here in the portal its deployment is completed. Now go back to home page and go to virtual machine and see here our virtual machine is deployed successfully. Azure CLI VM. This is our this is our name that we gave. Here you see the virtual machine IP address, public IP address, because we assign one public IP address. Go to MSTC, give the IP 52.180.76.128. You remember user ID and password. Azure user password welcome@12345. Hit enter. The machine are deployed and we are able to successfully log in with credential. See, still the machine are getting configured. I mean, we didn't get a status in command line, right? See, still it is running, which means still something not successfully completed. But from the portal we see all the deployments are completed and we are able to successfully take RDP. Okay, see the beauty of Azure CLI and the portal. Portal will take time and Azure CLI you just compare the time. So that is why most of the companies are going well advanced, and they are expecting guys should have some automations knowledge or scripting knowledge. You can see the difference. Using CLI within 2 minutes we deployed the machine, but in the Azure portal we spend roughly half an hour time to discuss everything and then to give all the information. Like if in the portal it's taking roughly 5 minutes of time to give the input, but in the CLI fraction of time it's deploying. This welcome to Azure Select options. Okay, so let it be fine. So you got about Azure CLI method, right? Second point,
Yes, ma'am.
you got, everyone got clear. So likewise you have to keep practice. Okay, so this is just one example that I have shown. Every day you have to practice, so that only you will get more hands-on knowledge. Got it? You see in the command line also the details came. My virtual machine is created. This is the resource ID of the virtual machine, location, machine MAC address, private address, public address, resource group, zone.
Ram, I have a doubt.
Yeah, Anusha.
So, Ram, in the Azure portal, where you have created, I mean, you have deployed two virtual machines, right? One through the portal and the other one through CLI. So
Yeah.
you gave the name here as Azure CLI, so we got to know. So while creating a virtual machine through the CLI, is that mandatory that we have to prefix the name with Azure CLI? I mean, with CLI or something? Or how will we get to know the difference here, whether the VM was created through the CLI or through the portal?
See, how to say for this, there is there is no difference and there is not required. You won't be required
Okay.
to differentiate which are deployed portal and which are deployed Azure CLI. Both are having the same property and same mechanism. Okay, the way why we are choosing Azure CLI, it's a command line interface. Many of the candidates refer programmatic way to deploy, and many of the people likes Azure portal way deploy. So that is the difference. Other than that, there is no other main difference.
Thank you.
Okay, so got it. So shall we move for the third option?
Yes, Ram.
Okay, Anirudh. Okay, fine. So the third option is Azure Images. Create virtual machines from images. Okay, fine. Before that, I'll just open the notes. Okay, we'll discuss now about Azure Images. Okay, so fine. So last time I just simply told about what is images. Okay, just assume that this is the virtual machine. Okay, we are going to convert this virtual machine to images, and from this image we can deploy multiple virtual machines, VM1, VM2, VM3. So the reason and the concept why this image method are preferable in all the companies and all the project. Let's take one example of project. Mine is Flipkart, and my requirement would be 10 servers, 10 virtual machines. Okay, and all the 10 machines similar similar configurations, similar config, like same 2 CPU, virtual CPU, 8 GB, 8 GB RAM, one OS disk, two data disk, and then Flipkart application. Okay, so I need a 10 machine with the same configuration, with the similar configuration. So generally traditional method, what you do, general traditional method, you will create 10 virtual machines like this, one by one. Okay, and after installation, you have to install the Flipkart applications in all the machines separately, which will be time taking process. So roughly to build 10 machines, you would be required minimum 12 hours to complete the installation. Like after create a machine, you have to install applications and backup and other stuff. So minimum 1 day time it will take. Okay, so and then to avoid this time consumption and then avoid this manual work, we can go with image concept. So in the image concept, what you do, one machine, for example, sorry, this machine, you will install Flipkart application, and all the configurations this machine. So you will bind this machine into images. Okay, image in the sense it's kind of format like .iso format, .mp4 format. You might have seen videos JPG like that. The VM would be converted to respective image format. From the image we can deploy multiple VMs. Okay, and one important thing, when you convert this image, when they convert this VM into image, we need to do one concept, that is generalized concept. VM generalize we need to do. Okay, why we need to do generalize? Example again, I gave the VM name is something Azure CLI VM. Okay, if I convert this VM into image without generalize, okay, after convert the image also, still the VM name is VM name is bind with Azure CLI only. If I deploy multiple VMs with the same image, so I will get the VM name here also same, Azure CLI inside OS. Okay, Azure CLI, here also Azure CLI. The name will not be changed. Not only name, other configurations also will not be changed. Domain also. Okay, so to avoid that, we need to generalize this VM and then we convert to ISO images. Okay, so any doubt in this converting, VM generalize and converting this way and this method?
Ram, I didn't understood. Can you please tell me one more time regarding that Azure? You said no something we have to convert.
Okay, fine. I'll give some more idea. See, this is the virtual machine I built. Okay, VM, and then VM name is something Azure CLI VM or anything, or Azure Dev VM or test machine, test VM. Okay, the application I installed, Facebook. I need to convert this machine to image. So what I do, I'll directly convert the machine to images. Okay, from this image I will deploy the virtual machine based on my project requirement. Okay, my requirement is 10 machines. So like this, 10 machines I will create. 1, 2, 3, like this. When I create a machines from this image without generalize, here this VM name inside the OS. Okay, inside the OS means, see, I have taken this machine RDP, right? So here go to command, check the host name of this virtual machine. You see, this is the virtual machine name and the Windows guest OS name also same, Windows Server 2022. Got it? But if you go with this image way, inside the after deployment, machine will successfully deploy. There is no interruption in that. But after image, after deploy the machine, when you take RDP and check the virtual machine name inside that, the machine name will still, it will be same Azure test machine, because the image converted from this source virtual machine. Got it? If you deploy 10 machines also, same VM name will be updated.
Yes, Ram, got it.
Got it, right? Test VM. Okay, not only VM name, there are some other configurations. Other configurations means each VM assign, when we create each VM, it will assign VMSS ID, virtual machine state file ID, unique ID. Okay, so the same unique ID also would be assigned to all the VM IDs, which means there will be duplicate happen in the environment, which should not happen. Got it? So That is the reason we are generalize the machine, generalize VM, and then deploy the virtual machine. Sorry, generalize the VM and convert the VM into images, then deploy to multiple VMs. Got it? So clear this point, right?
Yes, Ram.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we are Ram. So we are collaborating all the virtual machines to the single images. So which means the OS images. So from that image, we are creating the multiple virtual machines, correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. So to do this VM generalize, you might be knowing or not our no problem. There is a command called, there is a naming called sysprep, sys preparation, system preparation. Okay. So this is the way to, this is the path for the system preparation path. Each and every servers, this path is available. Here only we have to do the system preparation. Preparation means generalize. So I'll just go here, open my CMD, say open run command, paste this path. You see directly the system preparation will open. If you don't know, just cancel that, again go to the path. C drive, Windows, system 32, system sysprep. Here you see the setup file. Okay, just double click, the setup will run. You see option is generalize, just click on the generalize. Shutdown option is make the system is shutdown. Post generalize, the system goes to shutdown state. Okay, so just click on OK. You see the system preparation is running. Process of generalize system preparation again. So it take 2 minutes of time to generalize this virtual machine. We are in the phase of converting the machine into generalize. Then we have to convert to images. So any doubt in the generalization part? No one will teach about this generalization in any of the courses, because this is the live experience we are using in our project. This is the common way
Okay.
in all the ways we used to do. You see, after generalization is complete, the remote desktop connection RDP is closed. My RDP is automatically closed. You see, it's disconnected. This 186 IP is automatically disconnected, which means the server went to shutdown in the portal in the OS level. Okay, so now we need to stop this virtual machine from the portal level. OS level, the machine already stopped, but in the portal level, the machine is running. We need to stop the virtual machine. Okay, just click on the stop. Navigations, I will tell you. Okay, this virtual machine navigations will tell you. Oh shit, again it's going to expire in 5 minutes.
We will rejoin, Ram. No issues.
Okay, we'll have next 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Okay, we'll close the session for today. Just I will show these images only today. Let it complete this shutdown.
Ram, for this, whatever you show the command, right? It will be same for all the servers. Like if I'm talking like our environment, like Ethnac or those servers, right? It will be the same command.
You mean deployment command? VM deployment?
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
No. The generalize command which you
Yeah,
showed. System
this
32.
generalize is common for all the environment. For the Windows servers,
Okay.
you have to do this way only. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So the VM has been successfully stopped. Now, in the overview option itself, you can see the option is called capture. Capture means image. Just click on that, create a image. Okay, so you need to create an image. By default resource group, region by default it will take, and here you will see the two options, whether you want to share this image to gallery as a image version or only managed image. So I just choose the managed image because I am only going to create, sorry, I'm only going to manage this image, not others. So that's why I'm choosing this one. And then you can see name of the image. You can give any name. Okay, generally we used to give something Windows Server to the image, something location east US, and then hyphen application is dev. So like this, for understanding purpose we used to give. Okay, post give this. Oh, where is the option? Oh, sorry, you see option is review and create. Just click on the review and create. It will finalize. So it will take, again, yeah, validation is succeeded. Create the image. You see generalizing the successfully generalized virtual machine. Submit the deployment, which means the deployment is complete. I mean going to complete. Deployment means the image creation is going to complete in few minutes. So what we do, just rejoin this same meeting within 2 minutes. Meantime the deployment will complete successfully. We'll connect back. Okay, you see deployment is succeeded. We'll rejoin. Okay, and then we'll within 10 minutes we'll close the call for today. Okay.
Okay, Ram.
Yeah, sorry for difficulties, guys. I'll just try
No
to fix it
problem.
next time. Okay, fine. So the image has been created successfully from the machine, from the virtual machine. Okay, just go to home. Again here go global search. Just to type search images. Okay, and you can see the image which we created recently. See Windows Server 2022 image. Got it? So the source of the machine is this machine. Source virtual machine we created from here. Okay, so now go to the image again. Just click on the image. You will get image details and then overview. And here you can see the first option is create VM, which means deploy the VM from this image. Just click create VM. Okay, and subscription resource group by default it's selected, and you see the virtual machine name. Here you give this is deployed from image. Okay, other details you can just give it as it is. You see the image, it is taken from the machine automatically because this is the image which we have converted. Okay, you have to fill other configuration. Azure user will come at the rate 1 2 3 4 5. Configuration you can choose. This is size. Actually we are using free trial subscription, so that is the main reason the sizes were not showing properly here. Okay, otherwise it will directly take our image machine only here, but still we can customize the sizes here. Okay, but I am using free trial, so that's why it's not your recently recommended size by image publisher. So free trial subscription, right? So that's why we couldn't choose much. Okay, you see port is again giving a port and click on the disk, so the details are taken automatically. whatever we give, same thing came here. Again go to next networking. So networking also the same, public IP, it will directly take from the virtual machine, same configuration. Click next, next monitoring, advanced, save, create and review. So let's take, okay, validation is success. Now click create. That's it guys, from deploying the machine from images, customized images. Instead of taking from Azure Marketplace, we are deploying the machine from our own custom image. We created a machine, and then from that machine we converted to images. From the images we are deploying the machine again. So this is the third option, third method, Azure images. So any doubt in the images and converting images? Once this mission is complete, we'll take RDP and check. Okay. After that, and this Azure backup snapshot, probably tomorrow we discuss about this snapshot. Okay. And coming to my notes, deploy from CLI completed, and then PowerShell, no worries, I'll show later. Deploy from images we completed. So today we discussed 5 topics and left off snapshot. Okay, snapshot and PowerShell, leave it that we discuss tomorrow. And tomorrow what I will show, I will just show this all the virtual machine navigations. Okay, here go to virtual machines navigations. I will explain. Start, restart, what it will do, what are the options that are available. So each and everything I will explain tomorrow. And tomorrow I will include interview questions as well, troubleshooting steps as well for the virtual machine. Okay. So our deployment succeeded. I mean, the deployed from image machine successfully created. You see, deployed image agent is not ready. You have to wait until the agent comes online. Okay, what is this agent and why the error is triggering? So this is very basic understanding in Azure agent. So nothing, each and every virtual machine must be installed with one agent. Okay, so like this, that agent is called Azure agent. Azure agent or Azure guest agent, guest OS agent. There are so many names. Azure guest agent. So like that, this agent must be installed whenever we create any virtual machine. Okay, so why this agent is required? Okay, so this is the agent which is primarily acting as a communication bridge between virtual machine and then Azure. So everything it will be keep reporting to Azure, Azure portal. So if any VM goes down or if something happened, this Azure agent will capture the logs and all the activities, and it will report to Azure portal and we will get the alerts. Okay, so the Azure agent is a communication bridge. This agent sometimes not installed properly or some upgrade is happening this agent. So in the agent also some versions are there, 2.42, 1.4, 2.42 like that. When any upgrade happening in the backend of Azure, this agent might goes not ready state sometime. Okay, so during the time we will get this kind of alert. You see, deployment, this agent is not ready, which means we recently deployed the machine and the agent is still getting prepared by the Microsoft. Just to refresh here, it will take 2 to 3 minutes of time or 5 minutes of time to get the agent is ready. Sometimes you have to complete refresh of entire page. Make sure the error should go. You see, after refresh this entire page, the error has gone up, which means the agent is successfully installed and there is no issue in the agent. In the properties sessions, you can see VM generation and then agent version. You see, I said right, 2.7.41 version is agent version and status is ready. If any issue in the agent, the status should, comes as not ready and there is a issue with this agent. Okay, don't worry, I will tell you how to fix the issues and all. That is a simple troubleshooting steps. Got it? Now I will quickly go to this machine and I will take RDP. This is the IP of the machine. So let's go to type. Okay, so what is the password that I gave? Same default password. Okay, so I'm just taking. So we are able to log into the machine successfully and the same operating system installed. I mean, whatever we bind with the image, the same operating system came here. The machine becomes slow because the size of the machine is given less size, because the free trial we are not able to choose the higher version of size. That's why the machine behavior is bit slow. Okay, so go to CMD. Okay, you see the host name of the virtual machine is from the name whatever we give when we deploy, so it's taking the name from that only. So that is what we generalized. Okay, if we did not generalized, then when we deploy from the image, here the machine name comes with the source name. What is the source machine name? Win Server 2022. Here it will show Win Server 22, but we generalized, that is why it is taking the new virtual machine name whatever the input we given here. And you see deployed from image. Why didn't take complete name here? You see it's taken half name because 15 characters or 13 characters are allowed. We'll record 2, 6, 2, 4, 6, 10, 12, 14, yeah. 15 characters are allowed. If you give characters more, here it will take, but inside the OS it will not take more than 15 characters. Okay, that's why you see the name is deployed from IMA. Got it? So this is the way to deploy machine from images. When you get into Azure projects, you might be working, you most probably will be working into Azure images or PowerShell or Terraform. Okay, so you have to keep practice these steps are carefully, and then you have to do more practice in these sessions. Okay, fine. So we are concluding today's class sessions. Okay, let's come to the point for discussion. Any questions, any clarifications, any doubts now?
Yes, Ram.
Yeah, Nisha, go ahead.
Yes, Ram, the same question. So, while creating the virtual machine through CLI, you gave the Windows name, right, as Azure CLI, I mean,
Correct.
the image name.
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
for that to know, in case if we are using, if it is not a Windows, we are using Linux or something, do we have to come to this Azure portal from there, collect the name available and give it, or how is that?
Yeah, there are comments are available. Azure CLI comments. Actually, I forgot to. I thought to explain. See here, that's why I mentioned in the notepad. But unfortunately, I missed it. No worries. This is the comments to check what are the images are available in the Azure portal. Latest images. AZ space VM space image list hyphen table format. Okay, you see these are the images that are available in Azure Marketplace. These are the Azure Marketplace images. You can see Windows Server, something is missing, it's because of the screen. Yeah, Windows servers are two latest. Windows Server Processor 2. You can see SKU name. You have to refer the SKU names here. See, SKU names. This you actually use in the script.
Okay, Ram.
Sorry,
Thank you.
this one has one moment. Server 2022 additional status. Okay, these alias names you can use it for deploying various machines. Okay, so I forgot to inform other things. In the machine, in the images Azure Marketplaces, there are three components: offer, publisher, SKU. Okay, offer in the sense who is offering this image. Okay, for example, who is the root company? For example, Microsoft. I mean, Microsoft Azure as a Microsoft server is the offer, and publisher Microsoft Azure. Sorry. Uh, Publisher means who is the who is owning the image. Microsoft Windows Azure is the image, and they are owning of Microsoft Windows Azure server image, and this is the SKU names, and this is the URL from Microsoft side. This is the underall backend. So these three you have to remember: offer, publisher, SKU. Okay. You can run anytime and you can fetch all the images. These are the latest images, okay, which are they have updated and keep it in and ready state. Okay, so fine. So any other doubt?
Ram, I have a doubt.
Yes, Kumar.
Is there any way to create VMs, multiple VMs at the same time?
Exactly, we can do. There are some programmatic way to deploy multiple VM deployment using Terraform, using PowerShell, using Azure DevOps. Okay, parallelly, we can create many virtual machines. Using Terraform also, you can create n number of virtual machines. 10 virtual machine, 5, 2, whatever you can do. That is the programmatic way. Okay, so we'll see if we have enough time. Our end of complete session, I will just show basics of Terraform. Okay. So any other doubt?
Ram,
Yeah, Ram.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Ram, actually, if after creating the VM, if there is a issues occurs, what we have to do?
That we will discuss in next session. The troubleshooting issues, what will come, that and all we'll discuss. That is what your question is, right? Or during the deployment?
No, how to troubleshoot the VMs. So when we are connecting the new VMs, any of the users, so they will face some issues, right? While connecting with the IP addresses. So how to troubleshoot that one?
Correct.
That he is asking. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what troubleshootings we will have another session. In that session we will discuss with the more details. Okay, because we cannot
Yeah,
complete everything in the within a time window only. So if I tell everything in the same, everything in the today itself, you will get more confusion. That's what today we only discussed about deployments. So probably you might be getting now some hands-on about deployment, how actually the VMs are deployed. So the same way you have to keep practice. So tomorrow again we have to discuss about virtual machine navigation, options, properties, monitoring, not monitoring, properties, and then virtual machine troubleshooting. Few steps we can cover tomorrow, because we need to cover some other high availability options also tomorrow. Okay,
Sure, Ram. Okay.
so fine. So
Ram, one more thing.